Over here, up here.
Right here.
Over here.
Over here.
Over here.
We guys in Delaware thought we could actually buy it.
That's it.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. President. I appreciate it very, very much. All right, thank you. Mr. Mayor, I was telling the mayor as I was getting a look at what's going to happen underneath the bridge and how we're going to take that deck off, or you all are going to take that deck off, that when the president put me in charge of this $787 billion stimulus package, all of a sudden it got my attention. And I must tell you, my degree of confidence in whether or not I'm going to have been able to say I did a good job is in direct proportion of the money goes to people who know what to do with it. Mr. Mayor, whenever any money comes this way, I never have a doubt. I mean that sincerely. I never have a doubt about whether or not it's going to be not only spent well, but leveraged in a way that you talked about. The truth of the matter is, your mayor has not only seen to it the city comes up with the bulk of the money, the overwhelming bulk of the money here, but as he said, he has in the meantime taken care of several thousand bridges. There's not one that's substandard, I'm told, here in the city. And in these difficult economic times, Mr. Mayor, that's quite a feat. And I have to say, and it's not hyperbole to suggest this, that we wouldn't be doing any of this were it not for Jerry Nadler having the gumption to take what was a difficult vote and others for the delegation. Because it was awful hard when we came into office and the world became aware that within 1 month we were presented with a deficit before we even turned on our computers of $1.3 trillion for that year, to go out there and say, and by the way, we want to spend another $787 billion right off the bat to try to rescue this economy. Jerry, thank you, and not only thank you for your vote, but thank you for your leadership in getting a lot of other people to vote the right way. And I also want to thank Jeanette. We worked together back in the Amtrak days. I have the reputation in my years in the Congress of being Mr. Amtrak, but the only reason I was able to work is because of Jeanette and the people, the fine work they did in keeping it going and improving it. And so, ladies and gentlemen, most of all, I want to thank the men and women wearing the hard hats here today. I want to thank you for taking on a job that is badly needed, but also I want to tell you that how pleased I am to see you here having a job. Having a job that pays a decent wage in which you can raise a family, having a job that can sustain a middle-class life. And so I'm delighted to be with you all. You know, to state the obvious, all you New Yorkers take everything for granted. And by the way, I think we should be doing this inside the Bridge Cafe. I mean, it's a little air conditioning there, but all I think that's where they're going next. But anyway, at least the press is. I'm only kidding, guys. But here's the deal. This is the most this and the Golden Gate Bridge are the two most recognized bridges in the United States of America, and among the two most recognized bridges in the world. And to be here, being able to be part of helping restore this iconic bridge is a pretty neat thing. This project symbolizes nearly 1,200 bridge projects that are underway under the American Reinvestment Act, and 12,000 transportation projects that are underway nationwide. Yeah, these are jobs. These are real jobs. But the work, I want to point out, when people say, well, this is because the economy is in such trouble. What we're doing here, and the mayor and the city and the state are doing here in the Brooklyn Bridge, and we're doing on those other bridges across the country, they are worthwhile in and of themselves. If this economy were clipping along at an 8% growth rate and we had zero unemployment, this is a necessary, worthwhile investment. So the fact of the matter is, much of what the Recovery Act does is good in and of itself, unrelated to all the benefits it brings in terms of employment and spending dollars in the community so people like the Bridge Cafe can stay open. Not that any of these guys would on the lunch hour be there, but the truth of the matter is it does move. The economy that creates and sustains good-paying jobs, solid and dependable jobs, middle-class jobs, are those jobs that are going to come from restoring the infrastructure of this country, investing in new clean energy technologies, and that's the place for where the new middle class will be able to find their footing and be able to sustain their economic well-being. Jobs are going to help build a foundation for the 21st century. That's what President Obama and I focus on each and every day at the White House. How to get hard-working Americans, many who lost their jobs through absolutely no fault of their own, get them back in the position that they can be caring for themselves and their families. And here in Manhattan, that means upgrading, repairing, rehabilitating, and extending the life of this historic bridge. As the mayor pointed out, this is about a $500 million project. The Recovery Act has invested $30 million. Not the bulk of the money. There's federal highway money in there, but a lot of money coming from the folks in Manhattan. And that $30 million, though, means two things. It means an additional 150 good-paying jobs for a long time, and it means that, in addition to folks being back on the job, it means, as the mayor pointed out, that $30 million that the city might have otherwise had to spend is not being spent here. It's being spent on other worthwhile projects, other critical infrastructure upgrades. And throughout all of Manhattan, everything from what we call aid for people being able to make sure they're eligible for Medicaid to infrastructure projects. $4 billion. $4 billion has flowed into Manhattan from this Recovery Act. And that's money that ends up coming all the way through the system. With all this money flowing through Manhattan, as I said, there's been an awful lot of hard choices that the mayors had to make. And this is one of the mayors, it's one of the local officials, and it's hard to say New York's local. I mean, it's 7 times bigger than my state. But the fact of the matter is, it is a real asset to have someone with the skill and competence of Mayor Bloomberg making sure and managing that flow through. And none of this, as I said, would be done without Jerry Nadler. And the fact of it is, you guys know how important it is. More than 120,000 vehicles cross this bridge, 4,000 pedestrians cross it, 2,600 bicycles cross it, and cross it every day. This bridge is an emblem of what this great country represents. When it was opened in 1883, and there's been a great book written about it, it was the longest suspension bridge in the world. But when the Roebling family decided to try to build it, people thought they were crazy. They said it was too difficult. It couldn't be done. A lot like what people told us when they said you can't tackle unemployment, restoring the economy, the financial institutions. You can't do it all at once. Well, there's no choice. You can't move, you can't take 2 steps over a chasm, as Winston Churchill said. Only one way to get across. And the Roeblings understood it. And a lot of people told them that it couldn't be done. Well, just like the Roeblings did, I think we're proving the critics wrong. Last month, 290,000 jobs were created in that 1 month. In the last 2 months, we've created 500,000 new jobs, brand new jobs. That's more jobs created in a 2-month period than any time in the last 5 years. The GDP, after having shrunk 6.4% the first period we were in office, and the last quarter of last year grew 5.6%, and the first quarter of this year 3% in 2010. Ladies and gentlemen, most of all, what I see across the country, and I've now been in over 70 American cities for events like this, what I see all across the country is people's spirits are coming back. They're understanding we're moving in the right direction. There's a bit of optimism returning. And we're going to come out of this, I promise you. I promise you. We're going to come out of this with a stronger and better and bigger middle class than we went into this. We're going to come out of this better positioned to be the leading economy in the world than we were when we went into this great recession. And so when I say to you all, as my grandpapa used to say, keep the faith. You are part of the reason why this is all changing. You, the mayor, Jerry Nadler, all the people who had faith in the ability of the American people to respond to any crisis if you just gave them a shot. So God bless you all. May God bless America, and most of all, may God protect our troops. Thank you for what you're about to do.
Coming up.